Hmm. Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which takes place every October and now in its 19th year, is a collaboration between government and private industry to raise awareness about digital security and empower everyone to protect their personal data from digital forms of crime. Joining me to discuss why bridge security is a big concern for crypto projects on a go-forward basis and trends in the digital asset space overall is Katie Talati, Director of Research at Arca. Katie, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Thanks for having me, Jill.
And let's start with the cybersecurity aspect of it. Tell us about bridge exploits, how they have increased this year, and why it is the most expensive exploit that you've seen in crypto.
Sure. So over probably the last, I would say 12 months, actually, we've seen a number of exploits on what are called bridges. So as we've kind of expanded beyond applications built on Ethereum to other blockchains such as Avalanche, Solana, Polkadot, what's happened is that they need a way to connect these blockchains and bridge assets over from one blockchain to another. As a result, these bridges have been created. They each have different mechanisms. And unfortunately, a lot of them have a lot of easy points of exploitation. And so we've seen a lot of hacks this year on these bridges that have, drained hundreds of millions of dollars. Probably the largest one was on something called Wormhole, which was the bridge between Ethereum and Solana earlier this year, or it was earlier this year. And that hack, I believe, was for $600 million.
What about Tornado Cash? What's happening there? And what are the questions whether the government should regulate smart contracts and developers?
Tornado Cash is really interesting. So Tornado Cash, for those who aren't familiar, is a mixing service, which basically it's the idea that if you want to kind of obfuscate the source of tokens, because you can usually track along the blockchain where a token or cryptocurrency came from, you put it in a mixer and it mixes it with a bunch of other coins. So when they come out, you don't know the origin of it. So the idea was this was supposed to be used to mask people's identity or keep certain transactions private. However, it obviously gets used in a criminal element as well if individuals seek to use it to launder hacked funds or any type of money for that matter. The issue is that the US government essentially went after a project or a set of smart contracts instead of individuals or organizations behind them. As a decentralized protocol, we think that this is kind of out of the ordinary and sets a very difficult precedent for builders in the space going forward.
Why are we continuing to see lackluster performance in the space overall?
A lot of it is really tied to the macro picture, unfortunately. Risk assets for the most part are all performing the same right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. Inflation is really high. Rates continue to be hiked. We have, weird things going on with different currencies, such as, the super strong US dollar, but then we have a really weak, Great British pound. And all these factors are just really weighing heavily on every market, not just digital assets.
What were some of the key themes from the weekly edition of What's Driving Token Prices?
I would say probably one of the key themes last week was, the outperformance of Atom, which is the token on Cosmos. So that's actually a project kind of trying to fix some of the bridging issues that we're seeing in some of these other projects by having kind of an interoperable outlook. So they last week had a conference where they announced that they were going to be introducing some different tokenomics that would eventually create a deflationary pressure on their token. They also had a announcement that the USDC, which is one of the main stable coins, would be available on Cosmos, which it has not been to date.
And finally, Katie, what are some of the longer term trends that you're excited about?
Over the next 2 months, I think there's a lot to be excited about. I'm definitely watching the FIFA World Cup in November. There's a couple projects that are really heavily associated with it. Algorand, I believe, is the official partner of the World Cup. The Chiliz or Socios, which is the entertainment sports focused blockchain, also potentially doing a lot there since most of the sports teams that are going to be playing in the World Cup might have a fan token on Chiliz. So those are some of the really interesting ones, I think, for the next couple months, maybe slightly sooner. I'm also watching ApeCoin, which is their launch, or the ApeCoin project. They're launching staking. That's the token for the Bored Ape Yacht Club, the very famous NFT project. So that could be interesting and definitely maybe more to come on their metaverse side as well.
Yeah, that will be cool to see how it works out with FIFA. Thanks so much, Katie. Appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.